Good morning. How are you all doing today? So, it's so funny? Whenever I do these live streams, I'm usually talking to myself for like 2 minutes before people really start hopping in here. So if you are that one person that clicked on the video and if you are someone who clicked on this video after it's posted, you're awesome. You are awesome. Because a lot of people will just tune in live. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about, starting off with JD Vance, good grief, but then we're going to be talking and doing a deeper dive into tourism. Because right now we're seeing tourism basically like fall off a cliff. It's borne out by the numbers, but the numbers don't often tell you the stories. But I can also show you some pictures of what's been happening and just really putting it in context. Like, travel right now in the United States is so wild. It's really wild. So I'm going to start off, I always start off with like a more sort of funny breaking news, little quip or comment, and then I usually tie it into a bigger thing that I want to talk about. So we're going to start off with JD Vance, who makes this really, really unfunny, but also super offensive comment in regards to people coming to the United States for the 2026 World Cup. We'll get to that in a second. But then, like, I also want to use this as an example of a broader problem, because under the leadership of Trump and JD Vance, with the tariffs that have been ongoing, with the cruel, awful, like, joking nature of wanting to annex Canada, disrespecting other world leaders, and like us deporting our own citizens, you have a lot of people that would come to the United States to go and visit like the Grand Canyon or Las Vegas or New York. And a lot of international travelers are just not coming now, or it's a huge decrease of it, which leads to billions in lost revenue. And that would be spent at businesses, small businesses, or even bigger ones. But it's really bad. So we're going to be talking about what we're seeing with the numbers in regards to tourism as well. And you say, well, why tourism doesn't necessarily affect me? Well, think about all the indirect effects of tourism. If you're a business, like especially a small business, you get a lot of like foot traffic or walk-through traffic. Domestic or international travelers bring in a lot of money. I mean, people spend money. The average amount spent by an international traveler into the United States is $4,000 per trip. That's according to the U.S. Travel Association. So, I mean, they drop some big bucks. Now, it's also misleading because that's an average, probably not the actual, like, median number of what we see. But, so we're going to talk about JD Vance here. This comment is just stunning to me. So, let's dive right into it. Good morning, Kentisa. Hello. Hello. So, this was something that JD Vance said 2 days ago. And it hasn't gotten as much attention as I would hope it would. But this is something that JD Vance, who is our vice president, good grief, is something that he said. In regards to the FIFA World Cup, the big soccer tournament, we will have visitors from close to 100 countries. We want them to come. We want them to celebrate. We want them to watch the games. But then when the time is up, they'll have to go home. Otherwise, they'll have to talk to Secretary Noem. So he's making a joke about deporting tourists. There's nothing like a warm welcome than someone who is taking the situation of like people being very cruelly just deported without due process. Also, U.S. citizens unelectedly just being deported. You hear the endless stories of people who are seeking asylum and they're supposed to have their day in court and they're not even getting that chance. This isn't funny. Like, he thinks that this is funny, and there were some people that were like laughing. So I do want to say, like, Aaron Rupar, who I greatly respect for the most part, but like crickets with the stun face. I mean, there were some people laughing, but like, this isn't even comedy. This is just cruelty. Now, you heard it. Like, you heard it. This is not even funny. It's just offensive. Now, I think that many right-wing people think that oh, well, if you're just insulting people, it's funny. No, there's an art to being an insult comic, okay? Insult comics, and I've thought about trying to get into comedy myself in some ways. Insult comics, they make you laugh along with them, okay? It's not like, you can't claim, oh, I'm a comedian if you just go around and insult people. Like, that's not funny. Now, if you throw shade and people laugh along with you, then yeah, that can be funny. Like, if you are trying to poke fun at some person who has a really, really big ass, you can be like, look, their ass is so big it needs a whole zip code. That's like offensive but funny, and also like tongue-in-cheek. This is just offensive. Like, that's what it comes down to. A lot of right-wing people like to cloak their bigotry as, oh my god, I'm just trying to be funny. No, you're literally just being a jerk. Like, you're just being a jerk. Don't try to pass it off as comedy. That does a disservice. But the reason why I'm starting off with this comment here is because it gets into a broader narrative. Tourism has been declining in the United States. It's a sharp decline. And I'll show you the numbers here in a minute. But this is why. You have the rhetoric coming out of the Trump administration that is absolutely demonizing travelers, absolutely like discouraging people from coming. People don't want to spend money in the United States if they do the crap that Trump is doing with the tariffs, but then also the deportations without due process that's guaranteed under the Constitution, but he just doesn't want to follow. So all of that is leading to this whole situation where tourism is basically falling off a cliff, which means that we're going to have less economic prosperity to the tune of billions of dollars. So again, this comment from Vance was, we'll have visitors from close to 100 countries in regards to the FIFA World Cup. We want them to come. We want them to celebrate. We want them to watch the games. But when the time is up, they have to go home. Otherwise, they'll have to talk to Secretary Noem. He's trying to be funny, but it's not funny. It's just offensive and rude and disgusting. And like, here's the thing. If United States citizens go and travel to the FIFA World Cup, let's just say that it's in Paris for some reason, okay? In this hypothetical example. Like, how would you feel if someone from Paris jokes about that? You're like, oh, you know, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Like, you'd be like, okay, fine. If you're gonna insult me saying this kind of crap or believing that I would do that kind of thing, then fine, I won't even come. I won't even give you my money. And I really do think that we're going to see a huge decrease in the amount of people coming to the World Cup in 2026 because of how America has been acting. So let me break all of this down here. I appreciate every single one of you. If this is your first time tuning in, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the stream. You all are awesome. Don't be a jerk in the comments. I think we're all adults here, but many adults act like children anyway, so just don't be rude, okay? Don't be rude. If you have an opinion, that's fine. Just make sure your opinion is respectful. Make sure that your opinion is rooted in facts, not just misinformation. Cool? Got it? Awesome. Thanks. So let's get into it here. JD Vance attempted a charm offensive on Tuesday and failed with the charm while succeeding in being offensive, wrote the Huffington Post. That was the joke. We just covered it. You know, he's like, we want them to come, we want them to celebrate, but when the time is up, they'll have to go home. Well, of course they're gonna go home. Like, anyway, it's just, and of course, people's responses on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, were golden. And I don't know where certain people are from. I didn't want to go that far, but like, how to plan a trip to the USA. Don't go. Listen, I'm saying this as an American citizen. It is not safe for anyone to be traveling right now. It's not. It's not safe. It's not safe for basically anyone. You're met with hostility at the airport, even if you're an international traveler just trying to go on your spring break. I've given endless stories on past live streams of people who literally will just, U.S. citizens that go to Canada and come back and they're like questioned by Border Patrol. That like excessively questioned to the tune of like being handcuffed and treated like criminals. The United States trying to seclude themselves and go into this isolationist thing is really going to hurt our economy, because the way that economies work these days is they're so intertwined. Economies and supply chains and trade is so intertwined with other countries now, not just even domestically, that metaphorically and physically putting a border wall around America is literally actually shooting yourselves in the foot, because it's not going to lead to economic prosperity. Anyway, so people were commenting a lot of different things. He turned the World Cup into a fear-mongering deportation line. Zero applause, zero charisma, zero clue. Come on, come all, celebrate global unity at the World Cup, but don't get too comfortable, or Christie shoot him first, Noam, will personally escort you out. They've somehow managed to turn an international celebration into a threatening deportation PSA. Also, we are on the the United States is now on the Human Rights Watch list because of what they're doing to people. So it might not be the best place to go. No visitors come to watch the game if the United States... No visitors will come to watch the game if the United States is the host. FIFA should think about moving the World Cup somewhere else. Someone said, Vance is the most socially inept politician I've ever seen. This person says, FIFA, you listening? Thinking Canada or Mexico would volunteer to host more games. And this one made me laugh. This one made me laugh. You know how in the Oval Office when Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, was in there, and Trump and Vance were like berating him after his country has been invaded by Russia, and Vance was like, "Did you even say thank you?" And so like that's what this is. So the meme is just funny. Also, why would anyone risk coming? We have a president that denies people due process that our Constitution stipulates on all people. So why would people come? And that's another thing. For a lot of people in the United States right now, let me tell you, whether you are a citizen, a non-citizen, or legal protected non-citizen, or an undocumented immigrant, everyone under our Constitution has due process. That's how it is written. You have beef with that? Advocate changing the Constitution. That's what it says in there. The 5th and 14th Amendments specifically enumerate rights for citizens, but also rights for non-citizens. In the United States, I'm a broken record when I say this, in the United States, our Constitution gives freedoms and also limitations and laws to everyone within the sovereign borders of the United States. So while it gives free speech, the freedom of the press, for citizens, non-citizens, legal, non-residents, it gives that to all people regardless of their citizenship status. Now, not every single citizen is not every single non-citizen is afforded the exact same amount of access in regards to taxpayer funds and all of that stuff. That's different. But when it comes to the rights of people, they have a right to due process, to a hearing, to have their day in court. And that has just been completely shafted by the administration. If you have beef with that design, then go and wake up George Washington from his grave and talk with him about it. Actually, no, go and talk with James Madison, the short king that wrote the Constitution. He was our 4th president, I believe. James Madison is a short... Most people don't know, but our Constitution was actually written by a super short guy, which I think is kind of cool because I'm short. So, James Madison, who's one of my favorite founding fathers. Anyway, but point is, also, I just wanted to point out really, really quickly, just because it's fun and it's my live stream. You know how Donald Trump doesn't know what's in the Declaration of Independence? When Terry Moran, that reporter from ABC, was like, "What does the Declaration of Independence mean to you?" He goes, "Well, it's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity, declaration of love." I would love to see Donald Trump try to quote anything in the Constitution. In 8th grade, I had to memorize the preamble to the Constitution. So let me actually do it just for fun. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings and liberty to all with posterity. Do and ordain this in the Constitution for the United States of America. I got a couple words off, but that's basically what the preamble, the start of the Constitution is. In order to become a citizen, you have to know what these crucial documents are, and Donald Trump doesn't even know what they are. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but you see my point, where a lot of people don't want to come to the United States because due process is also just being completely ignored. So when JD Vance makes comments that are, he tries to be funny and it really just is offensive, no wonder tourism, international travel, is literally falling off a cliff right now. So I'll get to that in a second. Again, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to smash that subscribe button. I work hard to do this before I even go to my day job. So I appreciate every single one of you. Let's continue here with some other people's comments. Honestly, threatening foreigners with a conversation with Kristi Noem unless they leave might be the most effective strategy they've thought of yet. Yeah, effective strategy if they want to absolutely decrease and plummet tourism, which is maybe what they're trying to do. There is time to cancel any plans. You can watch the football match anywhere in the world. There is no need to be physically here. When they say football, they mean soccer, because they're referring to the FIFA World Cup. It's not too late for FIFA to move their championship game to Mexico City. Oh, did he say he was joking? Or is it one of those situations where he expected applause, and then people went silent when he said it was a joke? And see, this is not the first time that JD Vance has tried to be funny. It's not the first time that he's literally just flatlined. Like, we'll get to that in a second. This person said, on the other hand, Americans are free to travel to Europe, go from country to country, eat, drink, have fun, stay as long as you want. We don't care. Now, I don't know who Kryptonite is. I'm going to take them at their word that they're somewhere in Europe. But like, other countries definitely welcome tourism. Tourism is a big economic driver. Tourism, I mean, of course it benefits, you know, different destinations. Like you have different sites and parks and, you know, restaurants, small businesses. Tourism is a big economic driver. I mean, when you want to go on a vacation, sometimes you're not light when it comes to spending. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to go out. I deserve it. I treat myself. Well, when you are the United States and you're constantly hostile to other countries, do these weird tariffs that literally just pause like economic activity, threaten to annex other countries, and claim that you're in deporting people, like your own citizens, but then also being cruel. Yeah, tourism's gonna fall off a cliff. And that's what we're starting to see. And tourism is a big industry. Again, it has so many effects on put yourself in the shoes of a tourist wherever you go. You don't just spend money by booking the hotels or doing the travel, but you also go and spend money at restaurants. You go and spend money at different destinations. And then that helps, you know, those other small businesses. It helps so much. Like, tourism is a big economic driver. And right now, America trying to seclude and sequester off is literally going to hurt our economy. And instead, we should be having people say, no, come join the party. No one wants to come to America's party right now because America is acting like a petulant child. Anyway, I love the USA. That's how you welcome people now? Doesn't sound like you want visitors. With apologies to my dear American friends and family, we'll find something else to do and somewhere else to spend our money. Now, again, I can't verify the people who are making these comments, but I don't see any reason for them to lie. Why is their humor always talking about hurting people? Very fair. They're higher on their own supply. And this isn't the first time that JD Vance has tried to be funny. So I see a surge of new viewers. For all the people that just jumped in here, JD Vance is joking about deporting tourists for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Like, he's like, we want you to come here, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, when it's over, you gotta go home. Or they'll have to talk with Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem. The fact that you're even joking about these human rights abuses is just gross. Nothing like a warm welcome, like jokingly deporting people to a El Salvadorian, like, death labor gulag concentration camp. It's just, oh God. It's just this absolute hostility. And like, again, why is their why is their comedy always trying to just be offensive? Like, again, one of my favorite insult comics is Bianca Del Rio, who is a very, very well-known drag queen, okay? When you do insult comedy, you make the audience laugh along with you, okay? I'm a short guy. If you want to make fun of my height, be like, I've seen Tic Tacs with shoes taller than you, Scott. That's insult comedy. That's trying to be funny. You're poking fun, but you're also, it's not like being offensive. I don't think the right wing understands that if you can't just say, oh, well, I'm just doing comedy. That's not an excuse for your racism, bigotry, and like homophobia or any of those things. Just being offensive. If you're going to be an insult comic, you got to make people laugh along with you. You make fun of people, but you do it in a way where it's way more measured and you're not trying to put down, you're just laughing along with someone. I don't think the right understands that. I really don't think that they do. Anyway, this is not the first time that JD Vance has tried to be funny. If you all remember back on the campaign trail, JD Vance made this weird, like, quip about Mountain Dew. You all remember this? Also, if you're new here, please say hello and where you're tuning in from, and also make sure to like the stream and subscribe. I love all of you. JD Vance was slammed by the internet for this, like, cringe moment. On my birthday, on July 22nd, he had some sort of rally where, like, he said, verbatim, quote, "It's the weirdest thing. Democrats say that it's racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure that they're going to call that racist too." And like, the crowd was crickets. Crickets. I wish I could play the clip for you all, but I'm going live from my phone in my car, so I can't do that. But I mean, oh God, crickets. Y'all remember that moment? Oh, it was so cringy. You could hear a pencil drop. You could hear a pin drop in the back. And then he like, he's just like, but it's all good. And then he kind of like starts laughing awkwardly. At one point, one person in the audience could be heard clapping. Vance laughed at his own joke and said, "I love you guys." Look, I have made a fair share of jokes that don't land. I truly have. In front of people and just with friends and all of that stuff, okay? It can be really awkward. It can be really awkward. This was just one of those moments. And what was so funny was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of my favorites, also connected this moment to another moment that you may or may not have heard about, which is Jeb Bush. So many people know George W. Bush and George H.W. Bush and all that stuff. Well, there was a guy named Jeb Bush. He ran as a Republican in 2016 against Trump. If you all remember Jeb Bush is kind of like, oh God, he's like the dollar store version of the actual Bushes. Like, he's just, oh God. Anyway, but Jeb Bush, he was making this like, he thought it was just the best comment ever about whatever national security, blah, blah, blah. And he says it to a room and like, he then stops and, and no one's making any noise. And he goes, "Please clap." So it was very much giving that. And JD Vance is so similar to that because like, he'll make jokes like this Mountain Dew makes you racist thing, or like these deportation, like it's not funny. It's just rude and it's just confusing and it's gross. But, and when it came to JD Vance making that comment about Mountain Dew, this person said he was racist before he opened this soda. He's very bad at this. Yikes. I don't think that Trump needs to worry about Vance upstaging him. I mean, that's also true. By the way, I just want to point out really quickly, if you're trying to get my attention in the chat, I literally have the comments hidden away. I'm not seeing it. So if you're trying to do that, first off, I'm flattered. I know I'm cute, okay? Minding your own business is free. It truly is. Y'all being in here, the trolls constantly being in here, y'all feed the algorithm. But I'm not here to try to convince you. I'm not. So literally, minding your own business is free. Do something better with your time. go hug your nephew, go hug a cactus, go step on a Lego, go suck on a sponge, go play putt-putt. Do something better with your time. I'm simply just trying to inform you about this stuff. And you don't have to agree with my opinions or my takes. Nowhere does it say you have to agree with me. But also, I use this kind of more lighthearted stuff as the beginning before I get into the real substantive stuff towards the end of the live. So we'll get there. People are like, holy cringe, God, he's awful. So in regards to comments like this, just to really tie it up in a little bow before we transition. When JD Vance makes these jokes about deporting tourists at the World Cup, what message do you think that this sends to the rest of the world? What kind of message? The fact that if the fact that the vice president is going on and just like joking about deporting tourists, it's so unnecessary and it's offensive. No wonder tourism is dropping off a cliff. He says that it's racist to drink Mountain Dew. Like, no. What are you talking about? Anyway, so quips like this just remind me of how much tourism is declining in the United States under Trump. Not only because of this hostility, but because of the threats to annex Canada, constantly joking about it being the 51st state, even though Trump was told to his own face that that's never going to happen. And then also trying to like annex Greenland, all these other countries now getting tariffed by the United States. Like they're like, okay, fine. We don't need you anyway, bye. So tourism is absolutely falling off a cliff. We are definitely collateral damage. Tourism industry roiled by Trump's New World Order. Let me get to the data, the science, the statistics, and the facts. Just putting it all out there. The president's repeated antagonization of key allies, including Canada and much of Europe, has roiled the American tourism industry. Reports of tourists being detained while trying to enter the United States, threaten to push even more travelers from visiting. The result, international arrivals, which have been increasing since the pandemic, were projected to eclipse in 2019 levels next year, now are spiraling downward. We weren't in the crosshairs, Caroline Bateta, of president and CEO of Visit California, the state's tourism nonprofit, said. But we're definitely collateral damage and part of the domino effect. We're just caught up in the chain reaction of broader economic and political decisions. And let me just give you some statistics here. Visit California forecasts first dip in tourism since the pandemic amid economic uncertainty. And just keep in mind, California, politically or not, they are a big tourist destination. Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, you know, they have Hollywood, they have a robust agricultural industry, specifically growing wine, and it's just like, I mean, the beaches, it's a big tourist destination for people. The fact that it's like going downward, why? Well, international travel. People don't want to go to the United States if they're going to be treated like crap, especially if they're being joked about being deported anyway. But when we just look at the numbers here, this is what we're seeing. The turnaround for the industry is stark. Last December, the research group Tourism Economics projected an 8.8% growth. However, by early April, Tourism Economics had reversed course, being like, yeah, it's actually looking like a 9.4% decline in international visitor arrivals. And we're already seeing a decline. This is going to be for like the overall. And also a 20.2% decrease for Canadian travelers, which can mean a $9 billion loss in visitor spending, the group said. And that, again, tourism is a huge industry. Tourism is a huge industry. It has so many different moving parts and components. Let me just bring out some more statistics here. U.S. rolls up, not rolls out, rolls up welcome mat for international travel. This is from Tourism Economics. We now expect a 9.4% decline, or as Trump said at one point, decline. He did say that, right? Or maybe it was me. Anyway, I'm getting off track. It was funny. I think might have been me or someone else said, maybe it was I think it was actually me. I was doing my live stream one time and I was talking about different like statistics, and then I said, oh, and this is going to be a 20% decline. I think that it was me, actually. Sorry. Just to correct the record, I don't remember what specific moment that was, but anyway. So we now expect a I always laugh at myself. I think it's fun. We now expect a 9.4% decline in international visitor arrivals for 2025. We also forecast visitor spending in the U.S. to decline 5%, and also $9 billion in spending this year alone. This loss includes $6.4 billion of decreased spending in destinations, plus $2.5 billion of lost transportation spending. It goes on, talking about how, they're seeing a huge decrease in international tourism. Also, the National Tour Association, American Bus Association, Student, Youth and Travel Association are also talking about how they surveyed their members, and they are all seeing 51% decrease quarter, saying that there was no reported impact, but most people saying that it was going to decrease. Also, when looking at the U.S. Travel Association, talks about how international travelers on average spend $4,000 per trip, which is 8 times more than domestic tourists. So, of course, domestic being within the country. So if I live in North Carolina, going from North Carolina to Georgia, international travelers coming from like Belgium or Uzbekistan or Peru or wherever coming over here are going to spend on average way more. But yeah, that's just putting it all out there. Let me also show you some let me show you some graphics and numbers here. But first, each 1% drop in international visitor spending translates to $1.8 billion in lost export revenue annually. Now you say, oh, well, this doesn't affect me, so I'm not going to care. Okay. But think about the economic prosperity of everyone. Think about how it might indirectly affect you. Think about the area where you live in. If tourism is down, you're not going to have economic drivers. You're not going to have people coming in and spending money at your parks, at your amusement parks, your destinations. You're not going to have people like, I live in North Carolina. I'm not going to say where. Some people do know. But when you have people not coming in and visiting, there's less foot traffic at restaurants. There's less foot traffic at festivals. There's less activity, thereby less spending, thereby less economic revenue. And also less travel for different companies that make money through travel. So like, when you actively push away people, the economy is, I've always used this. The economy is very similar to a pot of boiling water. Okay. When more and more trade is facilitated, oftentimes more and more economic revenue is brought in. The economy functions best when people move around the wealth quite often. That's why in the United States, when you have the wealth hoarded by such a small group of people and have so much of that money being accumulated, it can be really hard for everyone else. This is what happened in the Great Depression. This is what happened in the 1890s. You had people like the Rockefellers or the Carnegies had so much wealth, and obviously there were just not many of those people, but then there were so many people that had so little. That is not how functioning economies are effective. The economy functions as a boiling pot of water. You want trade in order to then go. So it's like turning up the temperature is a lot like turning up the trade. Tariffs are a thing that basically isolate you. It decreases trade. It's like turning down the temperature on the pot of boiling water. So when we go into this isolationist thing, economies and supply chains are so intertwined between country to country that it takes often 9 different parts from 9 different countries to make a product sometimes. So if you do this tariff, you're literally just shooting yourself in the foot and turning down the temperature, thereby turning down the economic output. But if you can find a way to make it benefit you, then sure, maybe you go for it. But it's what we're seeing right now is a massive decrease in the temperature, which is, I think, going to be really bad. Anyway, I speak through metaphors. If those are helpful, then great. If they're not, then ignore it. So if current trends continue through 2025, the U.S. risks losing $21 billion in travel-related exports. Again,
Each 1% drop in international visitor spending translates to 1.8 billion in lost export revenue annually. Let me also show you some other data and statistics here. So there's this. This is from the U.S. Travel Association. It was the U.S. Travel Association, right? Yep. And of course, it's so small that I know it's hard to see, but overall, this is just like a trend line. You see the blue is domestic travel. The green is international travel. And I wanted to zoom in here because what we're seeing, this is November of 2024, December of 2024, January of 2024. What are we seeing? We're seeing that, domestic travel is, mostly fluctuating. International travel has just been plunging. It's just been plunging, especially after March. Gee, I wonder what that could be. Let me also point out that a good chunk of our international travelers are from Canada and Mexico. A good chunk. And I'll show you that too. When we look at share of visitors, a good chunk of them are from Canada and Mexico, over 50%. Gee, who is constantly threatening and demonizing and joking about trying to annex a certain country? So much so to the point where they elected someone that literally ran against being the anti-Trump, who then Trump met with a couple days ago in the Oval Office, Mark Carney. So the demonization of Canada, trying to pressure them to becoming a part of the United States, which literally Canadians do not want, because you're forcing them to do something without consent, like a weird toxic ex-boyfriend trying to get with you after you've said no so many times, that when you do that, yeah, they're just not going to want to come to your country. They're just not going to come back. So we're seeing a huge decrease in international travel to the point where, a lot of our international travel is through Canada and Mexico. Of course, you have other countries in here as well. But it's almost as if you demonize a country and disrespect their sovereignty. It's like they want to not be with you. Crazy how that works, right? Also, I want to point out here that when you compare it to March of 2024, you can still see a decrease as well. Total international visits to the U.S. have declined by 14% compared to last year. We're still opening up from COVID. So what changed? What changed? You tell me. Also, I'm going to have to go here in a few minutes. Or not a few minutes, probably about 8 minutes or so. Because I have to get to work. But Newark Airport. This is a whole thing. Newark Airport is seeing massive problems. So in regards to the whole theme of the live, talking about the hostility towards international tourists, the demonization of U.S. citizens, them being deported without due process, or people just being deported without due process, violating the Constitution. You're seeing the tariffs pushing would-be international travelers away, tourism falling off a cliff. You also have airports and airport personnel literally saying, don't travel, it's not safe. So what's going on there? Well, it's not safe. It's not a safe situation right now for the flying public. The federal, the federal air safety employee that works at Newark Liberty International was saying to NBC correspondent Tom Costello. He's like, yeah, that's a really incredible statement. Well, what is it that's happening? Newark is the second busiest airport in the New York City area, metropolitan area, and it serves around 49 million travelers. And also, I believe it's the East Coast hub for United Airlines. The FAA has blamed the delays and cancellations, which the airport has been literally drowning in them or suffering with all of those. They've been blaming it by a shortage of staff, specifically air traffic controllers. Gee, so you're saying that labor shortages cause problems. Gee, what maybe makeshift government agency came through and just decides to lay off people? Just lay off people. Doge. It's not inconceivable to talk about how laying off people at Doge, or laying off people at Doge, laying off people at the FAA has led to predicaments like this. I don't think it's not the sole cause. I will point that out. It's not the sole cause, but it's definitely a contributing factor. And we're going to break all of that down. So what we're seeing at Newark is they actually even lost radar with some of the planes for like 90 seconds. That's a minute and a half. That's scary. It's not safe. It's not safe situation. There's also been long lines. The average, I read somewhere, and I'd have to double check this, but the average like flight delay was 4 hours or something like that. That's just crazy. It's been drowning in delays and cancellations, yada, yada, yada. The FAA has blamed a shortage of air traffic controllers along with runway construction. So Newark has lost 20% of its air controllers in recent weeks, according to United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby, who issued a statement Friday that claimed that they had, quote, walked off the job. Now, I'll tell you, that's actually disingenuous. I'll get to that in a minute. So the situation has grown so dire that the United Airlines, which uses Newark as its primary East Coast hub, announced that it was canceling 35 round-trip flights daily in order to protect their customers. Now, last week, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy issued a plea for more air traffic controllers, offering 5,000 bonuses for new hires and warning that the system was beginning to deteriorate. Oh my God! Well, don't tell Doge. Doge is going to go through and be like, no, it should be $5 instead. So here's my theory. I actually have a theory that Sean Duffy is someone that really hates Elon Musk, because to his credit, the current transportation secretary, I don't think he's one of the worst in the cabinet personally. I think he generally is okay. I'm not like the biggest fan of him, but the fact that the FAA, like Elon Musk was literally going through and terrorizing the FAA so much that the FAA leader actually ended up quitting. Especially over, the FAA was investigating into Elon Musk not having permits to launch his rockets with SpaceX. So, I don't think that Sean Duffy is particularly happy as the transportation secretary with Elon Musk. There's a lot of evidence to show that they are not happy with each other. Also, another thing, there were 400 probationary employees that were hired to do critical jobs, a part of air traffic safety, flight safety, all of that, and they were just completely doged. But then a federal judge actually ruled saying, hey, you can't fire these people without a performance review. And so some of them are rehired. It's a whole thing, but that haphazard kind of thing, I think, is completely unnecessary. And I think that even Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, probably finds that silly. So just a couple months after Trump was sworn in, 400 FAA employees were cut, but Duffy said but none were air traffic controllers or safety personnel. Though I don't know about that. So this is from the Fulcrum. Just the facts. Are FAA staff cuts causing current airport delays? So how many employees were laid off from the FAA due to Doge? Well, it's approximately 400 as part of the whole idea of cutting down and being efficient. Efficiency for who? I don't have to, I'm preaching to the choir here, but a lot of people who are in the live stream, when you might feel the pressures of your job or organization at some point, or a part that you've been with, reducing labor as a way to save money. Well, it might not seem personal to you until you're the person that they say is, oh, well, we're paying you to do stuff. And even though you're doing a good job, we're going to allocate that and give more responsibility to someone else. We're just going to cut you. It's this thing where people are being overworked and underpaid constantly in America. And a lot of corporations will do that. But so what we're seeing right now is they laid off approximately 400 employees as part of the federal workforce reductions initiated by the Trump administration's Doge. These layoffs primarily targeted probationary employees, those with less than 1 year of service, and included roles such as maintenance mechanics, aeronautical information specialists, aviation safety assistants, administrative staff. These are essential roles necessary for maintaining aviation safety, according to aviation experts that express concern. And like, these types of workers that they got rid of were literally helping aircraft safety inspectors, repairing air traffic control facilities, updating digital maps, and pilots use in flight, such as making any changes to the FAA may direct airplanes flying in Washington airspace. So, like, it's not inconceivable to talk about how laying off these people has led to situations like Newark. Now, it's not the sole reason, but, like, it's definitely a big reason. Also, I want to point out, you know how I said that the CEO of United Airlines said that, oh, there are all these people that just walked off the job. Well, that's kind of a mischaracterization, and I'll show you here in a second why. The reason why that's a mischaracterization is that, like, because the assertion that 20% of Newark Liberty International air traffic controllers walked off the jobs is a mischaracterization of the situation. According to NATCA, which is the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, the controllers did not engage with an unauthorized walkout, but instead took an authorized leave under the Federal Employees Compensation Act, which was brought on by a traumatic incident April 28th, when a burnt copper wire caused a 90-second outage in radar and communication systems. So it's not like they walked off the job. They took an opportunity to be on leave for a little bit. So anyway, the situation at Newark is bad, and I don't have any like explicit pictures right now of like long lines, but if you go and look them up, there are really long lines that are happening at these airports, to the point where like people are going to be late for their flights, they miss their flights, and it's causing a whole bunch of havoc. But I'm gonna have to go to work here in just in a minute, but I also just want to point out that when we're talking about tourism has been declining also because Trump's tariffs are going through, raising the cost of goods. Like Las Vegas was talking about how like, ooh, we're gonna see some decrease in travel. Like the airport in Las Vegas is already seeing a 4% decrease in visitors, which you're like, oh, that's 4%. That's not a huge amount, but like it's 4% less than what they would have gotten. And again, according to the Air Traffic Control, U.S. Tourism Association or something like that, 1%, where was it? Hold on. Where was it? Yeah, the U.S. Travel Association, 1% decrease in international travel, in international spending, translates to 1.8 billion in lost export revenue. So that's bad. Anyway, I have to get to work here. So I love all of you so much. I hope you all enjoyed today's live stream. If you enjoyed today's live, then please smash that follow button, follow that subscribe button. Also, if you want to support me and my channel, please feel free to become a member. I'm going to be releasing members only content here soon. I appreciate and I love all of you in here, even the people who are trying to be obnoxious and rude and gross. Y'all have crushes on me. It's fine. So I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators. Y'all are incredible. Kantisa, Seabar, hello, hello. Cherie, I'm sending you lots of love and good vibes. Akicha, love you. Oh, Lisa, have a good day. So I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to the mods. Yes, absolutely, Maya. So shout out to Cherie, Akicha, y'all are awesome. Kate, love you. Ellie, Jenny, Ilisa, Joanna Tech. I couldn't do it without you all. Oh my God, Jacqueline, hello. Hello, I'm so glad to see you. Yeah, I appreciate all of you so much. I have to get to work. Just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are valid. You are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!